Good morning, friends. Happy Thursday, December 2nd. It is a lovely morning here in Texas on Behind the Word. So, welcome to this show, a show that helps you recognize the power, codes, and frequencies behind your words. I am your host, alchemist, and teacher, Kelly Castle. I am launching this show because we are at a point in human history where I believe we need as many people as possible to fully express their unique, beautiful, quirky, smart, loving, caring, imaginative selves, to embody divinity. That means learning how to manifest. That means doing self-work, self-healing. That means studying and practicing the lessons passed down to us from Pythagoras, Plato, Socrates, Jesus, the Indian gurus and Egyptians, and many more ascended masters. The information I'm going to present to you in this show has largely been hidden from the public for the past 1,500 or so years. That's a long time. Most of the age of Pisces. But of course, now we're in the age of Aquarius. It has been hidden from the general public because if you don't know the power that you truly have access to, they can control you and pull more power and wealth to themselves. It's exactly what they're doing right now, right? And people to the top, as clearly shown in the world right now, have been using this information. Presidents, elite athletes, musicians, celebrities, world leaders, Forbes 500 company business leaders, anyone you look at in the world that you think has made it to the top of their field, super successful, has a lot of money, they know these ancient alchemical and hermetic skills. Right now is a make or break moment for humanity. Sink or swim, zero-sum game. It is time to step up. It is time to realize the incredible divine being you truly are. Yes, I said divine. I am here to help in your journey, realizing your divinity, by teaching you what you are actually putting out into the universe every time you think, say, or write a word. There are frequencies and codes embedded in words. These codes embody energies like love, curiosity, freedom, wisdom, joy, expression, success, service, masculine and feminine energies, or completion. There's a long list of them. So we're going to talk about them all. I have found from my own experience that when I use words consciously, meaning with awareness, I can focus my energy with laser-like precision towards the thing I am manifesting or amplifying, and it happens faster. So this is my offering to you. So let me just check, and hopefully with everyone that is live with me, I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Is my volume okay? Instagram live people, hopefully my volume is okay there. Awesome. Okay, so I will be here live on YouTube and Instagram Monday through Friday morning at 10:30 a.m. Central Time. So make sure that you check what time zone you're in. And make sure that you hit subscribe, that little button down in the bottom of your screen, so that you get notified when a new video goes up or when I go live. I would love to see you live and chat with you. If you get something from this video today, give it a thumbs up and tell a friend. Share the link in a text message or go to the Instagram page, leave a comment on the word, send the word to a friend. There's going to be a post on Instagram after this episode, and the Instagram handle is Behind the Word 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. So the numbers follow the words as we talk about. And the holidays are here, right? We're in December now. I will tell you more about the kind of readings that I offer at the end, but if you want to gift someone a astrology or numerology reading, you can go to my Calendly link below and click on gift reading. You will put in your name, the amount and type of reading, and the name of the person and their email that you want to gift it to. So it's just a little holiday offering in there. Okay, is everyone ready? So let's go ahead and get started with today's word. And today's word is here. By the way, if you hear something kind of like beeping occasionally in the background, I am healing a knee injury at the moment and I have a little machine going on my knee. So that might be what you hear beeping occasionally. Okay, the word here. Now, before we jump into this, yesterday we talked about the word listen. And similarly, here has a similar meaning, but as you're going to find out from doing the analysis today, there are some distinct differences, and we're going to talk about the differences as well. So to tune in and settle in, to prepare ourselves to take in this information, let's just do a quick little drop in. So if you are driving, keep your eyes open. Keep going. Keep paying attention to what you are doing. But if you are able and can safely do so, please go ahead and close your eyes. Take a big breath in with me. And exhale out the mouth. Make sure your spine is tall. You might even want to just wiggle your shoulders around a little bit. Roll them back a couple times. Make sure that you are settled into your tailbone in the floor wherever you are sitting. Another big inhale in. And exhale. One more. Big inhale in. And exhale. Good. Now, since we are talking about our ability to listen and hear, I would like you to focus first on your ears. What are you hearing? What are you hearing around you? Are there computer sounds? Are there sounds of dogs? Are there sounds of kids playing? Can you hear cars passing by outside? What do you hear? What is the thing that you feel furthest away from you at the moment? Take a moment to listen for that. Now, what do you feel? Can you feel the chair under you? Is it cold in the room? Is it warm? Is there air blowing? What do you feel on your skin? Are you perhaps wrapped up in a blanket and you're nice and warm? Cozy? Are you too hot? Do you need to take a sweatshirt off? What do you feel? Can you smell anything? Can you taste anything at the moment? Did you just take a sip of coffee or tea? What do you taste? Now take one more big breath in. Exhale out through the nose. And go ahead and open your eyes. Beautiful. So, one of the distinctive differences between listen and hear, first off, which do you think comes first? Take a moment. which do you think comes first? The process of hearing or the process of listening? While you're doing that, I'm going to find the definitions that I have written down between hear and listen. So in the research that I have done, hear comes first. Hearing is the process of taking in sensory information. And the reason I had you go through and put attention on your different senses, from the smell to your taste to your hearing to how you feel, is because hearing is just taking in information. Whereas listening is the act of actually processing information. And I am just going to take a second here and see. I had written this down. Okay. Somewhere here. The difference between hearing and listening. Okay. I can't find the specific quote that I wrote down. I'll have to come back to it and put it in here later. Because that was a really fundamental question, and I did find it somewhere, and I just don't remember where I wrote it down. Okay, but moving forward. But the distinctive difference between hearing and listening is that hearing is taking in the information, and as we talked about yesterday in the listening video, the word listen, the numerology behind the word listen, if you remember, is the number 7. It roots out to the number 7, which is like the wise old man, the wise old teacher who is sitting in his chair and contemplating the wisdom that he has learned throughout his life, right? He is analyzing it, contemplating it. Whereas, as we're going to see today, the word hear is more of a process, having curiosity. So let's dive in here. Okay, if you haven't watched one of these videos before, I'm going to show you how I go through and analyze a word and teach you a couple of cool tricks on how you can do shorthand math as well if you are interested in starting to do numerology. So at the bottom, I have all of my letters here, and there are different systems in numerology. I look at both the full and the root so that I can see different patterns that come up and just pull off the layers. It's like the layers of an onion, right? We are truly infinite beings. Once you pull off one layer, you're gonna find another below it. So that's why I go ahead and look at the full and the root, and then we'll break it down into the soul's urge, the vowels, and the consonants, the outward persona. We're also going to talk about how hear gets to heard. So, okay. H, 8, 5, 1, and R is 18. Yeah, 9. Okay, then, so these are the full numbers. To get the root, you take the lowest denominator, or in other words, you add up the values. So 8 plus 1 equals 9. And then to do some shorthand math, what I do is I always find the tens, what adds up to 10, and then I add the other digits. So we have 10 here, if we do 18, and then here is a short trick. So we have 18, To find another grouping of 10, I know that I need 2, so I'm going to turn 5 into 2 plus 3, and that gives us 23. 5. So there's your shorthand math trick. Now let's go over here and do the same thing. With the fulls, I pull the 10s out first. I separate them from their lowest digits. So here I would have 10. Now I'm going to go ahead and add 8 plus 8. So that's 16, right? So 10, we have 26. 26 plus 5, 31, 32. Ooh, look at that. We have these flipped numbers, 32 and 23, to get 5. I'm going to pull out the vowels, A, E, I, O, U. There will be occasions when we use W and Y, and when those come up with certain words, I will show you. But in this case, we just have a E and an A. So we get 6. And then for consonants, we have 8 and we have 9 to add up to 17. 8. Okay, so the reason that I was talking about here being a word of taking in information from all sorts of senses is because its root number is 5. This is a number of curiosity. It's a number of freedom. It's a number of the rebel. This is going to come into play later. Here, it's kind of interesting. So at its core, this root here, this is the total expression. This would be like the underlying, this would be like the conscious mind, and this would be like the subconscious mind. So, at its core here, it does have a feminine outward appearance. And we actually see that when we get to this soul's urge here of 6. 2, 6, 2 and 6 are two of the most feminine numbers, right? When we think of the numbers, so we have, let me do purple actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5 being the middle. 1 is the self, or the man. Then 2 would be the partner, the polarized version, the dualistic nature, the opposite. So this would be the woman. 3, then we have the creative trinity, and etc. going on. When we get to 6, so the first 4 numbers are the numbers of the self. The self, realizing the dualistic nature, realizing that it is a divine creation. 3, we finally get that first full form, that triangle. And then we get to 4, we get a stable form, a stable self, putting our roots down. When we get to 5, we get curious about what is outside of self, what is beyond, what is our relationship to the world. And once we get to 6, we want to use our voice. So over here, we've created the self. Now we get to use our voice to express the self that we have created. Then others going on as we will get to. So at its core, its total expression, it has a feminine nature followed by the wanting, the desire to create, the desire to take in, to use the information that it has taken in by hearing, and it's curious about it. What am I hearing? What am I hearing? It's curious about it. Now, on a more subconscious level, right? 2 is a bit more of a quiet number. It's a bit more reserved or shy. So outwardly, the shyness comes first. However, on the subconscious level, the 3 comes first. Now 3, if we think of the word creativity, that is the prime word that I associate with the number 3 because of the triangle and the divine creative trinity. 3 is a number of joy. It's a number of expression. It's a number of pretty things. So when we are talking numerology, and right now I am reading Robert Edward Grant's new book, which is kind of like a textbook, and I really enjoy it, Philomath, and we find some really interesting principles about the numbers 3, 6, and 9. These are very important numbers, and perhaps I will have to bring in some of the lessons for those of you out there who really like math. We'll talk a little math on this show too. 3 is the number of the artist, perhaps the painter. It's a very physical number, right? If you think of beautiful paintings, it's beautiful. It lies over here in this self thread. So it is a foundational form. Now we double it and we get to 6, which is a number that wants to be heard. This is the number of the singer or a speaker. And if we even look at how how numbers are formed, we're even going to talk about this because the outward persona of here is 8. It wants to be taken seriously. 3, if you look at this, 3 is a open version of 8. What do you think of the personality of a typical artist? Kind of eccentric, right? Kind of chaotic. There is this organized chaos to artists where people are like, I don't understand you at all, but the art that you produce is amazing and beautiful. So with 3, there is like this open, kind of just creative, crazy, outward expressing energy. Whereas when we get to 8, we finally contain that energy. The number 6, as you can see here, it has this open top. I almost think about it like a gramophone that is expressing music vocally. That is how I think of the number 6. It's open out here and it's pointing outwards. So the number 6 is the speaker. And at its soul's level, the soul of the word hear wants to be heard. That's why we're going to talk about heard in a minute. It wants to express. It takes in information. So you hear with all of these senses that you were given, and it wants to be expressed. That is the soul's urge, right? When you hear a great song on the radio, what do you want to do? You want to dance around. You want to sing along with it, right? You want to express it. So that is 6. And then 9, just to complete this here, I love this phrase this is one of my favorite numerology books, kind of like the base book that I use. Shirley Blackwell Lawrence's book, The Big Book of Numerology. The Hidden Meaning of Numbers and Letters. I highly recommend this book to anyone who wants to study numerology. And the phrase that she gives for number 9 is the stage where the drama unfolds I know this number 9 very well because I have a lot of 9s. My birthday is a 9. My initials are a 9. My total expression is a 9. I am a 9, almost full and through. And I am a performer by trade. Number 9s are performers. They are actors. They like to be on stage. They like to perform. It is it's the drama. It is the full expression, right? By the time we get to 9 is the last number up here. So it is when we finally get to 9, 9s have learned the lessons of everyone else, of all these other numbers. It's already gone through all that stuff. It has all of that. Now it's going to express it and complete the cycle. Go to 0 and start over again at 1. So I love 9s. I relate highly to 9s. And we don't have 9s in the number, in the letter here, aside from, right, we do have this 9 and the R at the end, but none of the major root numbers are 9s. Okay, so going back, we talked about the soul's urge of here is to be heard, is to express what it is taking in. Now, the outward persona of this word is a more serious number. And we see that reflected in the fact that, let me move this over here. 8519. We see this reflected in the fact that here starts with the number 8. So 8 is a number of success. It's the number of the boss, right? Remember, 3 was open, but 8 has been contained. It's a much more conservative person or number, much more contained. Now, to achieve success, it has to realize the self. 1 is the self coming into being through its spiritual knowledge. Spiritual wisdom. And that is how one reaches success. Remember in the intro how I talk about the top achievers in the world have used these principles? They know this stuff to get what it is they want, okay? Right here, this is showing that. You have to realize the self. You have to use spiritual knowledge to gain success. This is why whenever we break down numbers, we look at the number it adds up to. So in this case, 8 plus 9 equals 17. Then we go to 8. Because we take digital roots, which is when we add up these numbers here. Let me use this guy. When we add up these numbers here, there are going to be a lot of numbers that add up to 8 in the world, but we got to pull back the onion layers again, and we have to see what is underneath, what has created that number 8. So outwardly here wants to be kind of conservative, right? When you first are listening to a song, you have to sit for a moment and take in that information, especially if it's something new. You have to sit and quietly take it in before you can express it. So the number 8 wants success, wants to be a boss, is more of a conservative, but it does that through the spiritual wisdom. Now let me bring in some more information that I found out. We can look at the first letter, especially in a name. If I'm doing name numerology, we can look at the first letter of a name to look at the personality. And this is important in looking at words as well. Let me go ahead and add a new page. Okay, so what I found out about the letter H. The letters that we use today evolved over time from the, I'll show you. in this book. Actually, let me pull up the letter H. Let's see here. 5, 6s, 9s. Let me go back one. Because this is really cool to look at. I'll have to take a picture of these. Okay. So, can you see this here? So, you can see how, and Instagram Live people, I will show you too. The letter H, we start off by looking at the Hebrew. They first had numbers because numbers were first sacred geometry, right? The number 1 is one line, and that's what the number 1 looks like, right? The letter H was associated with the number 8. It was the Cheth. And it looked kind of like this. It was also associated with the number 5. Oh, what do we see here? The number 8, the outward expression, and the number 5. Huh, interesting pattern to observe. And this number 5 was, I believe it's he. He. Head, yes. He as in head. I need to learn Hebrew. If someone wants to teach me Hebrew, reach out to me. DM me on Instagram. So, the Hebrews created Cheth and He. Now, the Phoenicians wrote their symbol. So this is what the Hebrews looked like. The Phoenicians wrote their symbol like this, like a window. Okay? Then we went to the Greeks. Then we went to the Romans. And then we get to present day. Okay? So that's how, to some extent, I'm sure there's a lot more to these stories, but just giving the overview, that is how letters developed. Okay, so we look at the letter H. What does this look like? What if we were to continue it on? A ladder, right? And you can go up the ladder or you can go down the ladder. Now, remember that we associated this with the number 8 over here. What if we turn the number 8 on its side? What do we have? The infinity symbol or the eternity symbol. Something that I asked myself when I started doing this. Infinity versus eternity. Does anyone know the difference between these two? Anyone? So, eternity is associated with time, and infinity is associated with space. And that's the difference. We talk about, we use the word infinity a lot in math, right? Whenever we're like making these graphs, and we say that these lines are going to go infinitely, so space, and eternity, we talk about time going on and on. And what dimension are we in right now? Some of us. Some of you might be elsewhere. But if you are present enough to be here at this moment, then you're probably existing in the third dimension at the moment. And the third dimension is governed by space and time. This is why we meditate, by the way. We meditate so that we can reach quantum levels, quantum dimensions, and go up. 8th, 9th, etc. You can reach other dimensions in meditation. Okay, but going back to the word here, heard, and the letter H. So we have infinity. The Cheth symbol is associated with 8. Now, as we go through this sign, we go up and down and back and forward and backwards, right? All directions. It's polarized. It has two sides. So there is neither good nor bad in this. There is both. Everything is nothing and nothing is everything. I love that phrase. So you can hear, you take in senses, you take in everything. You take in the good and the bad. You hear everything. You listen to analyze what you heard and decide what you want to do about it. But here is a curious number. It doesn't care if it's good or bad. It can go up or down. It can go multiple directions, right? It doesn't care. It has an infinite nature to it, right? Think about how many pieces of information are processing in your brain right now. Think about how many stimuli. I'm sitting here in front of two computer screens. I've got 3 or 4 lights around me. I've got a microphone, sound coming at me. I have the outside light. I have a heater on. My brain is processing all of this information right now, right? It is infinitely processing. It doesn't stop. Okay, so that is what here represents as its total expression, right? It is both the 5 and the 8. It's curious about everything and it is doing it infinitely. Yeah. If we also just think about this being the window, the Phoenicians used this symbol of the window for this letter. I'm not quite sure what they called it, symbols at the time, these voicings at the time. It is a window into the soul. It is a window to view what you are experiencing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at, I'm going to go ahead and put it here. Let's look at the word heard just so that you can see what happens to a letter or to a word when you add on ed, y, when you add on shun. There's all sorts of things, ing, we'll look at about what happens to a word whenever we add a letter to them. So we have the 8, 5, 1, 9, and D, A, B, C, D, 4. Okay, so we had you could just do this quickly, 23 plus 4, we get 27. Okay, so, and I'll just give you over here because I already did it. If we do the full, it's 36, 9. So the 20 heard, we hear information, we heard it. It's past tense now, right? It seeks to complete. It was too shy, quiet. It took in the wisdom, right? This is a number of rest. This is a number of contemplation. Contemplate, right? And it seeks to use that information to complete a cycle. So we go from a 5 to a 9. We hear it, we heard it. We know already. We know. We've figured out what it means. It's also interesting that in the full analysis, it is 3, 6, 9. That, again, that trinity of, that divine trinity of creation. And we'll talk about the 3, 6, 9 later again. But these are all the sorts of artists and creatives that we have in this world. 3, 6, 9. So there's the difference between hear and heard. Now, let's look at the difference between listen and hear. And to save time, I went ahead and just put all of this together. First down here, we can go and see, again, I'm going to highlight the master numbers that we see, and I just see 1. And then I'm going to go and look. Let me just let's do hear first before we look at heard. I'm going to highlight the numbers that are not in both, okay? So 3 is not in here. We have a 9, we have a 1, 2, and 5. And then over here, 8 and 4. Now I'm going to highlight the numbers that we do see up here. If I see the number up here, then I'm going to go ahead and highlight it. So 3, we do not see. 2, we do see, but it is in listen. Okay, let's actually make a distinction here. All right. Let's do this. Okay. So 2 is only in listen, and 8 is only in here, but we have this middle ground of the 5. Both of them have 5 qualities. So even though it might seem funny to say this might seem counterintuitive, here is actually the more serious word. It seeks to be serious than listen, right? A wise old man, because remember it comes out to the number 7, a wise old man doesn't have to try and be serious, right? He has his persona of being quiet and wise. It's not necessarily the word serious. Here is trying to be serious. Whereas listen has this 3 at the beginning of it, which is more of a creative number, right? It has to use creativity. It has to use creative thinking to be able to process the information and come to a conclusion about what it heard, right? Remember that listen is to analyze, hear is to just take in information. They both have 9s, so they both seek completion. They both have 1s, so there's an aspect of having to embody self. Now, listen holds this 11-2, which is the psychic master. So listen is it's a more intuitive word. It's a more powerful intuitive than hear. But hear does have a little bit of an intuitive aspect to it, because in the outward expression, it has to use intuition, 7, to achieve its success. We talked about yesterday, there is 4, right? Up here, there is 4 in listen. It has to have some sort of form. Yesterday we talked about how in music, you have to learn your scales and your music theory. You have to have a foundation to be able to seek curiosity. Jazz musicians have to practice their scales and know them back and forth to be able to do improv, which would definitely be characterized by the number 5. Both of these have these solid 10s in the middle. If we're adding up numbers, we've got a 10 there, and we've got a 10 there, and we've got a 10 here. So they both seek to complete. Oh, we have, okay, you know what? We have 5 in there. We do have 5 in there. Okay. Anyways, 5 needed to be discussed even more. I forgot about that. I wasn't looking at the E over here. But 5 is a very important number in both of these. They both share multiple 5s. Now, 6 only shows up over here, right? Okay, so if we go through the numbers, we see 1s, we see 2s, 3s. If we're talking about the word heard, we see 4 up here, 5. 6 is only in here. It seeks to be feminine, but it has an outward persona of being more serious. And 9. Okay, so we actually have all of the numbers in these 2 words. Let me just see if there's anything else that I am leaving out. Yeah. Okay. That is all I have for you today for these 2 words. This was fun. This is a fun one. I decided to start off with my 2 favorite words for this show, listen and hear, because I am a professional classical musician, and so I have spent a lot of my life learning how to listen and how to hear. And so that is why I started off with those 2 words. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Again, I will be here Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time, live on YouTube and live on Instagram on the Behind the Word Instagram page. Subscribe to the channel so you get notified when a new video goes up and when I go live if you want to join. And if you have a takeaway from this video, if you learned something, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment below to tell me what you learned, or go onto the Instagram page, go and find the word from today in the posts and comment on what you learned. You can also send me a DM to the Behind the Word Instagram page. Follow that page, share it with a friend, and if you feel compelled, you can support the show by giving a donation at the link below. Every bit helps so that I can bring you more of this content. Finally, as I mentioned above in the intro, I do this work one-on-one with people to look at the blueprint you came here on this earth with, and that is your astrology chart and your birth name. As you can see, if you've watched some of my videos, there are codes and frequencies hidden behind these words. Well, guess what? You came to Earth with a blueprint as well. You came here with your astrology chart and with your birth name, and they will show you why certain things are happening in your life, why certain themes like with relationships or business or how you're feeling about yourself are happening in your life. Guaranteed. So there is a Calendly link below to see all the readings I offer and sign up for a reading. I would love to work with you and help you in any way I can. Thank you so much for watching. I am so grateful to each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you to my YouTube family. Thank you to the Instagram family. This is so much fun for me, and I'm so grateful I get to share this knowledge and wisdom. What an incredible time to be alive. Peace, love, and blessings. Use your words consciously, my friends. See you next time.